Greetings, welcome to Greetings and welcome to Earground New Voices Amplified. My name is Plot Marco and welcome to the program that brings you some of the interesting shows, guests, and conversations around the creative arts in Zimbabwe. And today we're talking about the most esteemed awards platform in the country, the National Arts Merit Award, NAMA. Yesterday we had the announcement, a shift from the usual norm where we had the competitive NAMA. Now we have a special edition coming 2021, marking 40 years of independence, but at the same time celebrating 35 years of the National Arts Council. And I'm speaking to the Executive Director of the National Arts Merit Award, Mr. Napoleon Nyanhi. Welcome to Earground.
Thank you. Thank you. Great to be here.
Great, great. Wow. Last year you took us high, very, very high. And I think you elevated us to a point where there was so much anticipation and excitement around the possibility of a NAMA 2021 in the same format that it was before.
Yes.
What informed the new shift?
So the world knows. Thank you for that question, and thanks for having me on Earground. The whole world since February, I know it started in China in November, December, but since February, the whole world has been grappling with the COVID-19 issue. And Zimbabwe has not been spared. Since mid-March, we've been in successive lockdowns of different magnitudes. And what then happened is around May, we started planning NAMA. And we started the conversations with the National Arts Council. National Arts Council said to us, yeah, go ahead and plan. We're planning for an event this NAMA. So we're planning for a 20th NAMA, and our anticipation was that my lockdown, maybe October, November, and we'll be back to normal, and then we'll do everything the way we've always done. It so happened that the lockdowns then continued, and even up to now, we are still in lockdown. It's just the measures have been relaxed a little bit.
Yes.
Otherwise, the COVID measures are still in place as we speak. And this is about 8 to 9 months after the first lockdown. So this whole period, Arts Council has then gone around the country and spoken to my arts associations and to artists and asked them what the impact of COVID-19 has been. That's where they found that artists in general, across the arts genres that we have at NAMA, artists have not had adequate time or opportunity to express their art. So it then becomes folly for NAMA to then come and say, okay, so all the arts come through, we're going to judge you. And yet for 8 months, there are certain artists and certain art disciplines that have not been able to express themselves at all, throughout the 8 months. So that's what then informed the decision to say, let us move the competitive NAMA to 2022, and then we can be able to judge a 2-year period. So they'll be judging from from December 2019 to November 2021. So that 2-year period is what will be judged for the awards in 2022.
Wow, that's quite interesting. I think it has answered one question that I had. But on the same note, looking at NAMA and what it rewards excellency, and NAMA speaks to the spirit of the people and the resilience of Zimbabwe. Would it have been ideal to a NAMA light in court, considering that there are creatives that have managed to defy the pandemic and have spoken, have inspired people under this lockdown situation that have continued to create?
No, absolutely.
Yes, and also that the artists have managed to shift to the new normal, going virtual. So concerts still happened, artworks still were made, books are still written, plays are still made. Wouldn't that have been ideal to say, look, in face of that, we're going to bring you a NAMA virtual light edition?
No, it's fair, and in one of the conversations that we had, that was brought up. The challenge, though, is that NAMA is under the National Arts Council of Zimbabwe.
Okay.
The National Arts Council of Zimbabwe represents all artists, and it would be also remiss of them to then have an award ceremony that rewards the privileged, so to say.
Okay.
You know, because there are certain art genres that give privilege, you know, over other art genres. I mean, you would know, you know, whenever we have the NAMA Awards every year,
yeah,
we actually work hard to try and bring up the other art genres, because music, for example, just
Always
overshadows. The
takes
moment you
off.
say artist, everyone is thinking about a musician.
True,
You know what I
true.
mean? So it then skews it even further. If we had done that this year, it would have skewed it even further in favor of musicians, which already by nature of the art form, which is, you know, the performances, and, you know, it's very emotive. So people, in terms of popularity and all that, musicians upper hand when it comes to award ceremonies. And we are constantly trying to balance and bring up Mangoma disciplines. So if we had done that this year, it would have further increased that gap, where now the awards event would really just be talking about lockdown live, concerts online and stuff like that, of which not everyone was able to do that. If you notice, most of those were happening, I think I would say 80 to 90% were happening in Harare. And then there were also a lot that happened in Bulawayo. But that's about it. And yet there's, you know, 8 other provinces that also have artists that have to be represented by the National Arts Council. So it would have become a Harare Bulawayo Awards ceremony, which would not be fair.
Wow, man, this is quite interesting, and thank you so much for shedding light on that. I'm sure that a lot of creatives and artists that were also having similar questions have been answered. But looking forward, the Legends Edition, I think this will be a great event. What are we expecting there?
Yeah, I think Arts Council Director Mr. Nicholas Moyo mentioned in the press conference recently. He was saying that the postponement of NAMA has given us a grand opportunity to, yes, celebrate Zimbabwe's 40 years of independence and celebrate the 35 years of the National Arts Council of Zimbabwe, but also to just honor some legends. At the 25th anniversary of Zimbabwe, NAMA also did that. They gave 25 legends accolades. And then now, 10 years later, well, 15 years later, on the 40th anniversary of Zimbabwe, they're giving away 40 accolades to 40 legends in the arts. So it's really an opportunity, and I feel like, you know, we're actually blessed in that regard, that yes, postponement of the competitive NAMA, but it has also given us an opportunity to look back and remember the people that have been legendary in bringing the arts out in Zimbabwe, bringing out our artistry and pushing it to the world. So we're very excited about the Legends edition of NAMA. There will be honorary awards, so that's 40 honorary to 40 legends. I think during the press conference as well, the Arts Council Director was asked around how are you going to choose the legends? And he mentioned, I don't know if you're going to ask that. He mentioned that, he mentioned that, first of all, because Arts Council has had a time before of awarding legends, to avoid continuously recognizing and rewarding the exact same people, they were saying, Kuti, one of the conditions is the legend has to be alive. So we are awarding living legends. With the with this legends, NAMA Legends edition. We're awarding living legends. And then how they will be picked is Panama Arts Associations. You know, NAMA has got different categories. The literary arts, the theater, the film, and so all those disciplines have got my associations that represent them. So Arts Council, those associations are affiliates of Arts Council. Arts Council will ask those associations to nominate their people. under a criteria that will be released to say we're looking for one wakadai. If as an example, maybe people who've got work that spans over at least 20 years. I'm not saying this is what they're going to do. I'm just giving an example of the conditions that Arts Council will give to the. So maybe Munaita Basa for 20 years, maybe Munu name Basa Rakambo celebrate outside the country or Ambo export out their art, etc. They'll have different conditions. And then those associations will submit names. So maybe they'll submit 5 names each association. But I also think legends in our film space or in our literary art space are ningina, according to that criteria. Last submitter, those names will then go into a jury. These are then professionals that would have been picked by the Arts Council the way they do every year. They've got adjudicators and such. So this time they've got a jury that will sit and sieve through those names, and maybe 3 names per category or something. And then it then goes to the board of the Arts Council. Since these are honorary awards, these awards are being awarded. The award is the Arts Council Board, National Arts Council of Zimbabwe Board.
Okay, great.
So they are the awarding authority. They, in collaboration with the ministry, etc., then pick the final list of 40 winners that will get the award. So it's a collaborative process. It will be quite rigorous, and we then get the 40 names and we celebrate.
Wow, great, awesome! Thank you so much. So this means we're going to have a great event. It's not going to be virtual. There will be an actual event.
It's going to be a hybrid. It's going to be a hybrid. Mm-hmm. It will be an actual event. We will have people in the audience. However, we still have to abide. We suspect that there will still be restriction. So we're planning Tichiti. It's mostly a virtual event. It's mostly going to be enjoyed on Facebook and YouTube. But otherwise, we will have some people in the audience. So maybe, according to the current numbers, it's around 150. So maybe 150 to 200 people will be there. And it will probably be mostly the nominee, the legends themselves. 40 legends, that name a spouse, 180. So it will probably be the legends themselves and a few dignitaries. And for the auditorium. And then the rest will watch it online.
Okay, awesome. My last question is your perspective about the current situation, like the current quality of work that is coming from artists. Like from last year, from this year when NAMA was held up to now, do you see that the quality is improving or there's stagnation?
That's a very difficult question, and it's difficult to generalize because and as mentioned before, there are certain art sectors that have had a boom in this season. I'm sure kuna competitive NAMA you know what I mean, which is sad, unfortunate. But there are also other, arts genres or arts sectors that have not been able to perform as much. So this is a very difficult year to measure. The few areas that do have, that have managed to have expression this year, I would note possibly the film industry, these are mostly films that have been released, which were shot probably last year, which, because to shoot after this year has been a problem. But I think the film industry has really been doing well. We had the Netflix, the film that was picked up by Netflix.
Sure.
We had, and then, the which won some international awards. So the film area, even which was quite a hit locally, but all those films were filmed last year. But I mean, they came into prominence this year. So it's been refreshing to see some of those really good productions. And then the film industry has really been doing well. We had the film that was picked up by Netflix. We had the film that was picked up by Netflix. So the film area, even even Zimbabwe, which won some international awards. So the film area, even which was quite a hit locally, but all those films were filmed last year. But I mean, they came into prominence this year. So it's been a refreshing to see some of those really good productions. I think there's still a lot of room for improvement. But you know, kana manga muripa number 49 in the class, number 30, you celebrate. I'm number 10. You know, I was in a conversation today where people were saying, you know, there's a new series coming out of South Africa called Kings of Joburg, I think. Yeah. And people are saying, yeah, do I know my film? I'm not gathering Zimbabwe. I was like, you know what? Let's not. That's what you know, there's a lot of factors that hinder us. But when there's progress and there's people that are really pushing, it's good to celebrate.
That's true. Look, we've got a BET now.
Yeah, so the Zimbabwe. Yes, on the music. There's been some really good developments. Yes, Shasha got us a BET. We had quite a few Prima awards that came home. Quite a lot of albums and the lockdown lives of live concerts on a new thing, and I think our people really took to that, and our artists came to the party. They've been really entertaining. So I don't know it's lockdown. So I think the musicians have also really taken the mantle and pushed. I've been seeing music being reviewed in the United States.
Yes.
By different critics there. I saw Anita Jackson and I saw Kokai, Natio, and Poptain being Teddy Riley, and Teddy Riley is a huge
Michael Jackson production.
Yeah, someone who produced Michael Jackson saying, "Yeah, this is my jam for the weekend." That's very encouraging. There's a lot to have that we can really ride on. So say I want to judge the arts in 2020. There are some that have done well, there are some that have struggled, and I wouldn't want to be hard on the ones that have struggled.
Great.
But yeah, kudos to the ones that have done well.
Wow, thank you so much.
And one,
yes, you say?
Mentioned that. So to the status of artists, we've had a lot of stories of artists that struggling after they've hit the sunset of their careers. Yes. Artists that some would say then pass away, and you realize that they didn't have anything to their names.
Sure.
And it's not an easy one to solve, because it's dependent on the artists themselves. Some make money, they do investments, one kind of business acumen, or whatever. Some would not necessarily have the training or the acumen, and so one of the initiatives in terms of being forward-looking, one of the initiatives that we've come up with is, because we're now thinking, how do we create spaces where artists can meet with corporate executives, corporate gurus, financial advisors, CEOs and stuff? How can we create spaces where they can meet in a non-threatening environment? Because boardroom is threatening. Boardroom is scary.
I mean, especially for us, when you stretch to quarter, it's
So we it's something that we're trying out. We want to have a way of going to meet them where they meet relaxa. Big chains, big this. And we found, okay, executives play golf.
Wow, this
and I play golf, and I've seen, in those spaces, you meet the CEO of Econet, for example, big company. You meet them on the golf course. Introduce after 2-3 holes of the 18 holes, after we are you know what I mean? Already my barriers angachakutorera gore to remove if you're going to be going to his boardroom or to his office. You know what I mean? And possibly you will never actually go to his office. Because you know what I mean? And then by the time you finish those 18 holes, you are friends. You are on first name based. You especially look at some kunda go for you to pin broach your subject or bring out your issue. So what do you do? No, I'm a painter.
Sculptor.
I do paint. I'm a sculptor. I do this, I do this, I do this. By the time I'm not paid that, it's now easy. You know what I mean? So to see so we're trying to create something around, and hopefully 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 they also come to the party. We're trying to organize my free trainings, my coaching. Hopefully you can actually start to go to these spaces, and you never know whether it's funding your career, whether it's a music video, whether it's an exhibition that you want to go to and do in Spain or something. Some of these people hold the key. So we've got a golf day that is coming up on the 4th of December. And we're inviting artists, we're inviting corporates. I mean, we've got a lot of corporates that have already signed up to play on that day. And we hope that we can create, I mean, this year we won't be able to do much, but we also love the law of process. We start this year, straight after next year, straight after next year. Maybe in 5 years, it will start to make sense for artists. Maybe it will start to work. Maybe it will start to pay off. But we can't not start because it doesn't really quick. So it's a process. We'll build on it, but we hope that it will create a space where artists can get, whether it's business advice or even just funding from these corporates.
Well, I'm definitely coming through for that golf. I have to make my way. I think this is quite impressive because, look, I mean, a lot of the times we struggle to even get into the formal spaces and communicate formally. And what's interesting is that some of the executives, they actually consume a lot of art. You know, you find paintings in their offices. You find they have mixtapes when they are going to the gym and stuff. So they consume a lot of creative content, but there's that disconnect with the artists. So now with this, I think this is a brilliant idea.
Thank you.
Great. Well, it's been awesome, Nyamaswita. Thank you so much. It's been great speaking to you. What are you currently listening to? Who's on your playlist right
now? Natty O and Poptain. I love that song. It's a pretty song. Yeah, I've just heard Gemma, Natty O, and ASAP. The new song. Yeah, that's been on repeat for the last hour or so. Where else am I jamming to? Janet Manyoa has got a new song that came out, you know, so when I need to get into the spirit, that's my song. Who else is on my playlist? It's always 100% local. I'm also excited about the Winky D and Japreza concert.
That's a very exciting one. The two on one stage.
But that's shout out to ZK's Connect.
These guys are pulling strings. They're really top.
So that's my playlist at the moment, I guess. Tammy and Japreza Kutera is also on my playlist.
Great. Well, do you miss radio before we go? Do you miss radio being on
air? No, in the sense that I still enjoy radio without necessarily having to be on radio. I noticed Pandaka Capital my passion had moved from actually running and being on air and talking to training and listening to the people that I trained on air. That for me is real satisfaction. So I focus more on training and consultancy and upskilling. So ndo
So you
so it's
remain
still
the
radio,
radio master in the
but not
master class.
necessarily on. Why is yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's been great. It's been awesome. Thank you so much, Nyamaswa. I really appreciate, and you continue doing amazing work, and we keep tracking you, keep following you, keep asking questions, and I'm happy that you are available to do this one. So until next time, stay tuned.
Cheers. What a pleasure. Thanks, Plot.
Great. Thank you so much. To those that are watching, thank you so much for watching Grow New Voice Amplifier. We keep giving you some exclusive interviews and stories. And today we're speaking to Napoleon Nyanhi, the Executive Director of National Last Merit Award, the event. And we're talking about the new look NAMA for this coming year. And until next time, stay tuned. Great.